Hey, what's going on YouTube? Lionel here again. I said I was going to do 2, but decided to do 3 videos. So, with that said, I am going to review a fragrance that I cannot pronounce by any stretch of the imagination. Cannot pronounce it. I don't even know what it means, honestly. However, it is. I'm going to try it. It is from the house of Etat Libre de Orange. I guess that's how you pronounce it. I always call it Eldo. So it is from the house of Eldo, and the fragrance is called, excuse this if I butcher this, Dieu du riz et des agrumes, and I have no clue what that means. But what I do know is that this fragrance is by far the best Virgin Islandish type of fragrance I think I've ever smelled. And I do mean ever. And I'm not exaggerating when I say this. So real quick, I'm going to give you the notes. Again, I'm going to put the description in the review, you know, in a sentence, so that you can figure out, and I'm sure somebody can come along and spell how the right way to say this thing. Anyway, the notes are ginger, coriander, lime, and something called shiso. In the heart, you have jasmine, you have cardamom, cinnamon, rose, and coconut. In the base, you have vetiver, musk, amber, tonka, civet, and leather. Now, let me tell you this: I shrink away from anything with civet in it. I hate it. I despise the note. But if it's in here, it's so well blended that I can't smell it. So let's eliminate that. Also, let's eliminate the leather. But I want to substitute both of those notes for maybe an animalistic feel. So I think those notes maybe contribute to an almost oily, musky type animalistic aroma, but it does not dominate this fragrance. It just sort of gives it a little bit of weight. I mean, it's almost like if you get one of those bouquet of balloons and the only thing that's sort of holding it down is that thing at the bottom. That's what it is. I mean, nobody really pays attention to that little bag of sand at the bottom. That's what those notes would be to this fragrance. It would sort of be like the base of it. Very, very minute, very doesn't play much at all into the overall fragrance. So, what does this fragrance smells like? This fragrance sort of opens in the vein of, I can only say, Virgin Island water with much more going on. So, think of Virgin Island water as a live jazz band with 2 instruments. Think of this as a borderline orchestra / symphony type of fragrance. You really can't detect a lot of these notes, but if you smelled it, you would say there's a lot more going on than lime and coconut. However, lime and coconut really dominates this fragrance. So I would tell you it sort of has this tropical feel to it, but because of these other supporting notes, it just expands the fragrance, and just it really, for some reason, these notes, as you think would be almost contradictory, sort of complements the lime and coconut so much that you're like, wow, this is a great lime coconut fragrance. But there's so much else going around. There's so much more, right? It's sort of like one of those great movies that you focus on 2 parts of the movie, but there's just so much behind it that after you sit down and you reflect on it, you're like, man, this movie was much better than I originally thought, because the director was so good at weaving in these different plots and these different subplots, these different subplots to make a grand movie, right? So, with that said, this Eldo Philo, I guess Fide, I don't even know what, I can't even give an acronym to this thing. It sort of opens up with this bright lime and this gorgeous coconut. I mean, it is very, very natural smelling, and it's also very, very contradictory yet complementary. I don't know if I can explain that And like, it shouldn't happen. Like, when you look at the notes and you smell it, you are like, this really shouldn't work, but it works, and it works fabulously. Let me tell you this: if you're looking for a summer fragrance, if you want to stand out, if you want to pop out, if you want to look, you want to be sexy, I'm telling you now, this fragrance, hand down, owns the game. I mean, it owns it. It owns everything I've smelled that I think you can pull off in the summer and yet still be gorgeous. I mean, I'm just, it's fresh, but it's not aquatic, or it's not beachy, and it's not any of those things. It is much more than that. Yet it's not so complex that you're like, this is blah, this is, it's too much going on. It doesn't do that. I mean, it just blends it very, very well. And what I really get is this coconut lime. Maybe there's some ginger going along. There's some muskiness, this animalistic vibe that just kind of sits in the background. And it's like this coconut and this lime is sitting on this oily, animalistic base. And they're just, and neither of them are kind of, it's so weird because the coconut and lime isn't fighting for attention. It's not trying to be a coconut fragrance or a lime fragrance. It's trying to be a coconut lime complete fragrance. If I've ever said a fragrance is complete, it's this one. Now let me get into let me talk about some stuff that I don't really smell. I don't know what shiso is. On Fragrantica, it gets a lot of dings on it. So that could be playing along. I don't know what shiso smells like. I mean, I've seen it, and I can't really understand what it would be compared to. But a lot of people said it smells like that. I will need some time with that note to give you an honest assessment. What I really wanted to do was put this fragrance in front of you and let you know, man, if you're looking for something to end out your summer with, this is it. I mean, I promise you, this will make my top 5 post-summer fragrances when I do my reviews, maybe even higher. I mean, it's up there with Millesime Imperial. It's up there with I mean, I'm just being honest, and I'm telling you, it's much more complete than Virgin Island Water. It's not as flat. It's not as ordinary. This one gives you some bite. It gives you some. It gives you some weight. It gives you some distinction. So I'm really, 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 really blown away with this fragrance. I also got my nose on Fat Electrician, and I'm going to do a review on that later, but they did a terrific job on Fat Electrician also. I mean, you really think of a Fat Electrician, but it really works. And I think that's what I've heard from this house is they do these kind of weird, almost, I mean, they're sort of, they're sort of maybe the more serious, what's the house? Hungry Hippies, those guys. So it seems to be a more serious on that note, maybe a bit more artistic than those guys. But needless to say, I mean, it is hands down gorgeous. I would tell you now, if you can, I mean, the bottles are very reasonable, especially if you use Fragrance Bros or my man Frank's or Mark's code. If you use their codes like at Men, I mean, you can get this for, I think, under $100 for 50 mils. So, and it's well worth it. Well worth it. It's well worth it. So, I'll tell you now, if you like coconut and lime, if you like Virgin Island Water, but it sort of goes flat, it sort of leaves you wanting, you will love this fragrance. If you don't like that coconut lime sort of tropical feel, then this isn't for you. But this is not an aquatic. This is by no means close to an aquatic, and it's by no means fresh. It's just, it's sort of tropical. It's like one of those, it's sort of milky. You know what? That's a good, like, it sort of has a milky coconut lime vibe to it. And when he finishes it, I mean, the nose behind this is a genius. They just did a really good job with it. So, needless to say, check it out. Eldo, Etat Libre de Orange, however you pronounce that. Eldo is how I pronounce it. Look it up. Go to Fragrantica. Check it out. Find some other reviews. I mean, it is very, very gorgeous. So, I appreciate you guys' time. Peace.